We ended up watching Great British Baking Show finally.
Oh, we could
theater.
talk about that in between the middle.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're stretching our gaming thumbs for Nintendo. Mike, you gotta make sure.
Oh my God, the thumbs. I need to do thumb yoga.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm saying that facetiously, but I guarantee we could probably Google thumb yoga and find a video on YouTube.
Yeah. You can't just crack your knuckles anymore, folks. That's not the way to do this. You need limber thumbs. Netflix gave us some surprise reveals with their TUDUM panel.
My gosh. I don't know if I hate it or if I love the fact that they turned a sound effect into branding. I half am annoyed but half impressed that it kind of works, you know.
Well, I mean, I think it's great, but I can't believe they turned it into a word. I think the word part was the one. I'm like, did they spell something wrong here? Is it an acronym?
Or yeah, it's the internet, right? Like, I'm sure some people are just like, what does this stand for? It's like the ultimate dump under media. I don't know.
Exactly. Like it's and then I was like, I said it in my head, I'm like, oh, it's TUDUM, because it's a Netflix sound. Because I watched Netflix for the first time in forever this week, Mike. We'll talk about that at the top of the show. We help you avoid all the MCU spoilers that you can, and we can help. So we'll talk about what to avoid and what keywords you should start dropping in for the next year. And more.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That was like early this week before most of the news dumped. I was like, oh, yeah, Chris, complained to me, rightfully complained to me that he was getting stuff spoiled.
And there was more yesterday, and I'm like, this will not stop. For someone in Hollywood is mad, or is paying these leakers now.
Yeah, and it's getting more difficult too, right? Because I mean, we're about to get in November. We're getting that Disney Plus day, right?
Yep.
They're gonna have tons of new stuff announced, and so there's just so many more pain points of possible spoilers, right? It's not just like 4 movies a year that you might have to avoid spoilers for. Now it's like streaming series in the middle, and then it's tough out there.
And I think it's not quite post-COVID, but as productions kick back up, right? They're now making up for lost time and hiring way more production companies than they ever did before because they have so many projects going on, right? And a lot of these newer companies, I believe, don't. They have NDAs, but they don't understand the Marvel sniper mentality over there. So I think they need to be careful with that. So.
And boy, I tell you what, if we're talking about mutant keywords, this is some foreshadowing for later in the episode. I am like this close to muting the word Mario and Cowboy Bebop in my Twitter timelines because I've just wanted to throw my phone away this week. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
No one can ruin a property faster than the fans of that property, Mike. Let me tell you that right now. I'll tell you.
Showing our cards a little bit, but yeah. But there was a bright light at the end of the tunnel this week on Friday. I've been looking forward to this it's my happy place. I never feel so cozy. Whenever you see those Pinterest influencers that like to get cozy in the fall aesthetic and everything, the best way I can embody that is the return of Great British Bake Off. You just watched it, right? On your theater screen in your basement.
So we don't have a lot to talk about watching this week because we've both been. I've been in Michigan all week, literally in another state 6 hours away. Mike, you've been busy, so I was looking forward to watching the Great British Baking Show is what it's called on the title card, so I'm going to get confused calling it Bake Off. But yes, in my new theater, I finally got finished and painted. I've been sending you pictures of for the past 2 weeks. But yes, I'm fresh out of the oven, if you will. I don't have a soggy bottom. Very happy to watch the Great British Baking Show return to Netflix.
The archetypes this season are great. The most important thing you have to do on the first episode is identify the different type of contestants that the producers have brought in for the season, and they're all very enjoyable. And I think the highlight, even before the accomplishments were reached at the end of the episode, were like this. There's this wonderful band from Germany, the Black Forest, who plays the trombone with his son, and it's like this goofy looking trombone. Like I played the trombone back in high school, and the bell he plays is like really, really tiny, and it's just like he's like charming. And like I love identifying the archetypes. There's always like an engineer. Yeah, well, there's like a weird creative person.
Well, the engineer guy, he's Giuseppe.
What an amazing one. Yeah. They said his name. My wife and I were both like, what a great name. It's like amazing because I never remember any of the contestants' names. I automatically give them nicknames the first time I learn any one thing about them. That's their nickname for a whole 10 weeks. But like, how do you not remember Giuseppe? Like, what a name.
Yeah, and he is the engineer, and he's very distinguishable with his curly silver hair slicked back and his mustache. I forget the old lady name, but you have your stereotypical 70-year-old lady in here. Yeah. And they've been like, she looks like Prue, and we're gonna, and even Prue's like, is this gonna be a running gag all season? And they're like, yes, it is.
Prue's like already like exhausted with it. It's just, I love everything about the show. No one can ruin it for me. I even saw like some people in my timeline were like getting a little tired of like the host's like little jokes and quirks they do, and I was just like, he sang the entire Flintstone song in German. I thought that was hilarious. I don't remember the bald guy's name. I know Noel Fielding.
It's the guy who played Humpty and Dumpty in that Tim Burton thing. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look it up later.
He's been in a lot of but he's funny. Either way, I love everything about the show. Chris is just a delight. So I'm so glad it's back. Yeah. If you've never watched The Great British Bake Off, it's delightful. And if you've never watched it, you're in a windfall of content. There's so many seasons available to you on Netflix.
Yeah, and then there's celebrity seasons as well. It's you can go back forever. It is such a wholesome, heartwarming thing. The judges, this is not Hell's Kitchen. This is the anti-Hell's Kitchen, right? This is Heaven's Kitchen, Mike, is what I would call it. Because
all I was going to say was, like, stay tuned, because, like, every September, we're probably going to be gushing over this when it comes back.
It's just so fun, and it's so simple, and I'm like, God, this is great. So, very excited. And also, this is the first season they've had a vegan baker, so I'm excited to see how far she goes.
I think they had
a vegetarian.
Okay, that's what it was. And I remember... And sometimes in the seasons, some contestant will start off with an imposed restriction. Like the person who won last year did a bunch of early bakes that were like gluten free because like their brother was like had a gluten issue. But I think by the time they got to the back half of the season, they're like, okay, I really got to step up to the plate now. I got to start using all this other stuff. So yeah.
I agree with that. So. Great British Baking Show, Great British Bake Off, whatever it's called at the time is now on. But I will tell you the other thing we did not watch. We did not watch Star Wars Visions this week, folks. So
I did. I watched.
Oh, I did not.
I think I watched at least 2/3 of it.
Okay. We haven't finished it then. How about that? Okay. I will have it completed by next week. The hotel was no place to be watched this. You're lucky I got What If out of the hotel this week. But I'm very excited about that. I will tell you when we talk about fandoms, one fandom who was not mad is Star Wars at this. So that's, I've not heard a negative thing come out of this one, thankfully, in this. So, but yeah, so let's jump into this. We got jam-packed news here. I got to make room for Mike's soapbox, and a nice helping or two of his steamed broccoli, and I might even add some cheese to that. Make some steamed cheese broccoli. Let's jump in. This week we have a movie release, Mike. Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
That is this. Oh my God, that is this week. You're
October is Friday. So that's this week. The actual runtime was revealed to be 112 minutes, which is 8 minutes shy of 2 hours, which is way more than the 90 minutes people were reporting like 2 weeks ago. So this is actually a normal length movie. So no one needs to panic.
Yeah, but I suppose if you include the credits on the crawl, you might be getting a little bit closer to the 90-minute run. Either way, I'm glad it's on the sparse side.
I think the first Venom was like 118 minutes or something. Like this is a normal movie length. I don't think we'll feel anyway. But there are post-credit scenes. There is one at the very, very end. So stay tuned for that, folks. I've heard you want to watch it. So tune in for that. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of talk about that. Hopefully next week, if things go awry, we'll let you know. It's just it's a big weekend for Mike, so hopefully he can find some room in there to check this out, and we can talk about it. Shifting gears, though, in typical Nintendo fashion, they announced a live stream like on a Wednesday for the Thursday, and they have come out with a big news with their Switch Online feature. Are you familiar with Switch Online, Mike? I know you don't have a Switch.
No, is this kind of like the PlayStation Store?
A little bit. So their Switch Online is their service. You pay $20 a year, and you can back up your saves to their cloud. You get access to regular Nintendo and Super Nintendo games through their emulator store or whatever legally that you can just play on the Switch. You don't have to go get the games and stuff like that. And it'll let you play online with other people if it has online play, but I don't ever come across that myself. So it's very good. So Switch Online, and my understanding that this is for an extra additional cost, will be adding a library of Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games to their back catalog to play for free, or not for free, for this extra cost on their Switch Online. So you pay for the year, you can get access to these anytime your subscription is active. What is cool about this is, unlike Xbox's Game Pass and Sony's PlayStation Now, or PS Now, is that Nintendo owns these games, or most of them, right? They don't go away once they put them on here. So they trickle them in once a month with new ones, usually, and they usually stay on there. You're not going to see the rights of a game Nintendo owns expire.
I see. So it's almost kind of like a retro game archive, kind of.
Yep.
Okay.
That you don't have to go and download illegally to play, and then because a lot of these games are very, very, very hard to find in their original Nintendo iteration. Now, N64 is the first. Some N64 games were released on the Wii U, but I think it's standalone games. This is the first time we've had a collection of Nintendo 64 games on this, and some of the classics. I listed all the games here mostly for SEO purposes, folks. But at launch, whenever this launches, you'll have Super Mario 64, Mike, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, Ocarina of Time, Mario Tennis, Dr. Mario 64. Now, they will be releasing more games down there. They already confirmed you will get Majora's Mask, Mario Golf, Pokemon Snap, Banjo-Kazooie, and Paper Mario. Like this is a great list of games because most of these cost $60 to $100 in person right now, if not more.
Yeah, so. I did a quick Google because I was curious what the monthly price was. It looks like it's about $4 a month, I think, if you go the monthly route. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's $20 a year or something real cheap.
Yeah. I think this is just like every other digital service in the sense of you need monthly recurring revenue streams, right? You know, so we can sell the hardware, not necessarily at a loss. You know, well, the Switch at this point in time, I'm sure, is like turning a profit. But when new consoles, drop, they're usually, at least trying to break even.
Yeah, and the Nintendo Switch OLED is coming out later, which I don't think will affect any of these. But again, one of the big things with these older games is the more they become hard to find, the more people turn to piracy. To play them. I am guilty of some of these games because I can't find them anywhere. So it's great, when you make them accessible to people, they will get them and they will play them.
Yeah, I guess it does make me a little hopeful because I think a complaint that a lot of Nintendo fans had was, how many times am I going to have to re-buy these games, right? They bought them on the Wii, then they had to buy them on the next thing, and then the next thing. So if these are just perpetuate within their online service, imagine like the next Nintendo console, who knows, probably the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever, and not like a Wii U, which technically the Wii U was another console, but they did a bad job branding it.
Yeah,
so the next real iteration of the console, theoretically, you should be able to turn it on and access these games as well. You shouldn't have to buy them all over.
And as someone who is recently getting into both next generation consoles, I will tell you, backwards compatibility is a huge factor for me right now. I don't want to have 5 different consoles on my entertainment center to play the games that came out last year, right? Like that's really, like, Xbox mostly. I'll applaud them. Anything that runs on the Xbox One works on the Series consoles, right? In every game, there's no doubt about it. And then they've even gone back to add original Xbox and 360 games as well, like a huge library of those. So hopefully Nintendo is looking at that success and adding more in here, which is great. Now, the big surprise I will tell you is I actually had a Genesis growing up. I didn't have the Super Nintendo, Mike. I was unfamiliar with that, and they are releasing Sega Genesis games on here, which I'm really surprised they were able to get with Sega to do this. And so some of their games include Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra, Golden Axe, Gunstar Heroes, Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, Streets of Rage. Like these are classic Genesis games right out the gate that'll be on here.
It is starting to feel like the Genesis, or I guess like Sonic being its like biggest property, is almost like Mario's cousin at this point in time, right? Like, we're not exactly from the same family lines, but we see each other at the family reunion, so you can come over and hang out.
Maybe their movies will cross over, Mike.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah,
I'm sure
we'll talk about that here in a second. But the Genesis was definitely one of the harder consoles because it didn't have a save state. You couldn't save the game, so you had to start them over every time. But I think what's going to be the real kicker here for people, because they didn't announce Smash Brothers 64, I don't believe, on here. No, they didn't. But when that comes out, God,
Chris, Smash is out. It's all about Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl.
Well, that's true.
Like I don't even think it's really like a conspiracy at this point in time. Like that's not the right word, but like I think this is almost like a dark horse. Like I think the developers working on like this Nintendo game is just like, no, we're literally making Smash. We're going to put all the stuff in that all the Smash players want. It's going to be the exact same game with just different characters. We're going to put it out on every console, and we're going to give Smash like some actual like competition. And, like, I'm actually seeing, like, legit online buzz. Like, people aren't just thinking this is vaporware anymore. So I'm actually really curious how this Nintendo game is going to pop off. I'm still waiting to see if there's going to be cross-play in any shape or form, because I'd love to be able to, like, fight you guys online. And we don't all have the same consoles, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely check that out. It's for Microsoft Windows, Mike. So if we all just go get a laptop, we'll be able to. I don't think this one's going to run very hard on the graphics.
Oh, yeah, this might not be a workhorse.
Yeah. But yes, anyway, I think the big kick here is they are going to be releasing special wireless controllers that connect to your Switch that are N64 and Genesis style controllers. So you can play those games with the classic controllers. That. Yes. I had a conversation recently with someone. I'm like, I don't understand the Nintendo 64 controller because I love a symmetrical controller, right?
And you universally use the middle and the right side. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that one, it's middle right, and the left side is just kind of there. So you got to pick it. I think it kind of set the precedent for C buttons creating a second joystick, but I still don't get it. But I do have a special place in my heart for the Genesis controllers. So this will be fun. This is great. I think this is a huge value add to the Switch line of consoles. Now, I will tell you the other, not surprise announcement, but like some confirmation here was the Super Mario Brothers movie. It is coming out. We knew this. Just go ahead. Illumination, who is known for doing the Minions films, is making this. And we knew this. We've talked about this before. But they announced the cast of the voice cast for this movie.
Ooh, boy, did they.
And this is a pretty stacked cast, so I'm just gonna run through this real fast, Mike, and then we'll spill our thoughts. Mario will be played by Chris Pratt. Peach will be played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Luigi will be Charlie Day. Bowser will be Jack Black. Donkey Kong will be Seth Rogen. Toad will be played by Keegan-Michael Key. Cranky Kong will be played by Fred Armisen. Kamek will be played by Kevin Michael Richardson, and Spike will be played by Sebastian Maniscalco. And this is where the discourse begins online. However, I will go ahead and show my cards. I think this is a great cast. This is a very stacked, talented cast who makes me excited for this film now more than I was when I originally heard about it.
Yeah, let me just grab this soapbox, right? Turn it over, get all the bars of soap out of it, dust it off, stand up so I can see above the crowds of angry nerds out there on the internet and just say, like, what on earth were you expecting out of this movie, right? Like you just said, we knew this was going to happen. We knew this was coming from Illumination. This isn't out of like left field. Did they really think that this movie was going to be voice casted by like any of the original people who did these characters, who exclusively just make little boops and bobs and sound effects in the video game? And I think the argument that drove me the most crazy was people thought that this was an insult to the original. I don't even know if he's the original voice actor of Mario, but like the current voice actor of Mario. And they're like, this should have been his time to shine. This should have been his movie. And I'm sure he's great. I don't think we should feel too bad for him because he voice acts like one of the most iconic characters for video games of all time. He's doing fine. He's doing well.
Yeah,
right?
and on top of that, they release Mario games almost every month, whether it's mobile or Switch or something. He is getting his work doing his little Mario sounds where he says like yay or yippee or good job, but that's about it. Like his vocabulary is Mario is like
This
small.
almost feels similar when people were like upset that why can't I think of his name? The guy who voices Shaggy, the actor. I can't remember the name off the top of his head.
Okay.
But he, they announced that Scoob movie, and Will Forte was going to be the voice of Shaggy, and everybody was up in arms that he wasn't going to get to play Shaggy. Well, first of all, that movie was trash anyway, so don't feel bad because it just wasn't a quality movie, and a different voice actor wouldn't have made it better. So just like chill out there.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people were like showing their receipts, showing their proof. They're like, here it is. Here's the voice actor for Mario speaking in full sentences. See, he can do it. And I listened to it and I was like, good Lord, would I not want to listen to this for 90 minutes? Because like it's a goofy, wacky, cartoony character. He's an Italian plumber made by a Japanese corporation. Like none of this makes any sense. So stripping all of that away, of course, this was always going to be voiced by A-list actors. Like Mario, one of the most iconic franchises on the planet that has yet to be turned into like, a movie. I know we have the live action one, but like
do you want that again, folks? Because when you bitch, that's what you get. You get 90s Mario.
It's just like, in what world did anybody think that this was going to be a 90-minute cutscene from a modern Mario game? It's just like, it was basically, the complaints were all delusional. But I will give everybody this one. The one thing I will give them, maybe Chris Pratt was kind of a weird choice for Mario. Out of like all of the different A-list actors out there that I could think, like maybe somebody a little bit, not jolly, but I feel like anybody, there could be a lot of other people pitched out there to be Mario that is like an A-list actor, so you can still put them on the poster. Like I know Chris Pratt did do a really good job on Emmett with the Lego movie, but like the characteristics of Emmett does not like kind of cross over in the Venn diagram for me for Mario.
Well, I think the one thing they did not do, they did not show a preview of this movie, right, at all. We don't know what it looks like, and we don't know what it sounds like. I believe as actors / voice, a lot of these people have been voice actors before, right? Like this is perfectly fine. He will do a good. He probably will not do his regular speaking voice. So I think I think at the end of the day, we will be fine with Chris Pratt. I'm like you. I'm like there are many other things in the world to complain about. This is not one of those things you should be complaining about. This is a lot of great names that people who don't give two shits about Mario would probably go watch because they got some good names in here.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of this cast is great. Jack Black, Charlie Day, Seth Rogen. These are like Keegan-Michael Key, Fred Armisen. Like these are some of like my most favorite actors like out there in the world in this Mario movie. And also, I've already have my expectations insanely low. They are in the ground, in the dirt, past the coffins, into the mantle, right? I mean, like an adaptation, like I said, of this beloved franchise, it's probably not going to go well. So don't have like these high expectations. Also, love them or hate them, Illumination, the studio, extremely successful. I saw a screenshot the other day that showed the Minions movie grossed over $1 billion. I'm sure that's worldwide, and it's through the life of the movie. I'm sure it had a long run at the box office.
Imagine the T-shirts at Walmart sales going through the roof right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't understand, like, they're acting like there weren't going to be big Hollywood movers and shakers involved in this movie, right? Like this wasn't going to be some like indie movie where they cast all of your favorite darlings. Like this is going to be a box office juggernaut, whether it's a good movie or a bad movie. So it's just kind of like, you should have started kind of thinking like a producer the second that you heard that this movie was going to be made. But also I think the most important note to make is like, this is going to be creatively challenging, right? Yeah. Like, how do you bring Mario to the big screen? Like, what's a relevant story that's going to resonate with an audience? This world has never really been connected with reality in any given way. Like, so there's got to be there's always going to be some sort of like gimmick where you're going to have to like explain like why people talk weird or why things are set up. So like there's so many like creative problem solving things that you have to do already. So stack the cast to get butts and seats, because this movie could be really bad like Scoob was, and you got to get people in there somehow.
Well, the other thing is Nintendo is notoriously not greedy, but like they're very proud of their IPs. They're not going to, again, after their burn in the 90s, we get nothing. No Zelda, no Kirby, no property Nintendo owns are we ever going to get, right? Like it took them, I'm pretty sure, I know there's the Pokemon company who is different than Nintendo, but I'm pretty sure Nintendo owns them. But like the Detective Pikachu movie, that shouldn't work on paper, but that was a really good movie as well. Like, but like Nintendo, they are going to make sure this is good and settle for no less. Do not think this is just a cash grab for Mario, because they have never done that before. And I believe they're going to be great. And Illumination, right? You say Despicable Me. I like Sing, and there was a trailer this week for Sing 2. We didn't put it in here because it's not relevant, but now you make me think about it. Like, I enjoyed the Sing franchise as well. So. People's reactions to this are, for one, I think unfounded, right? We've not heard anything or seen anything. And B, yes, you can be precious with Mario, but no one's gonna be more precious than Nintendo, who owns them, and that is their moneymaker. Yeah,
the fact that it took Nintendo this long to dive into like a feature adaptation of Mario and like a real earnest and honest way, not with like live action people, like that movie's bizarre. I want to rewatch it though. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway. We don't know anything about this movie yet. Who knows? Maybe they do like a little one-off gimmick where the voice actor of Mario is in the movie for like the first like couple minutes, but then like he gets a glass of water and clears his breath and he's like, oh sorry, I must have had like something caught in my throat, and then just him reading that one line in the movie gets him like $40 million or something, like with like profit sharing. We just don't know what it's going to be. Yeah, the great point that like Nintendo has always been very precious. They're not just going to let this go off of the rails. And at the same time, just chill out. Just chill out. Just chill out, people. Like Nintendo fans have a lot of similar DNA to Star Wars fans, right? Oh. They love hating their own stuff.
But the thing is, I don't. What bad Mario thing can you think of off the top of your head? Is my thing.
Yeah, I guess most people would just like lean back on the last live action movie, but I feel like they learned a big lesson, which is why we haven't seen anything else from that. Yeah. And there's a lot of weird kind of like animated adaptations, but that was kind of from the same like Wild West era. I think of like late 80s and like 90s where we're just like we don't really know what we're doing. But yeah, Nintendo they have locked down that IP now because it's like a tech juggernaut.
Let me give you a little bit of a fun fact here. There are two producers on this film. One is the I think the owner of the founder of Illumination, Chris Meledandri, and the other is literally M.U.H.A, the guy who created Mario and Zelda. Like, he is involved in this wholeheartedly. The other thing is the directors are actually the directors of the Teen Titans Go to the Movies movie, Mike. That was the last movie they did before this.
That movie is fantastic.
If that movie sucked, I would be like, maybe there's some foundation here, but that movie is one of the best animated movies I've seen. Right up there with Into the Spider-Verse, if I was completely honest, because how fun it is.
Don't sleep on that movie. And also, that movie, I think they should take a very similar approach to Mario, right? Like, kind of almost like what the Lego movie did, too. Like, a little bit of, like, a satirical skewering of kind of, like, the brand of what it is, right? But then tell something heartfelt, but also with really good jokes. Yeah, this is off to the races. Yeah, like I said, I will agree and concede. Chris Pratt, maybe some strange casting for Mario, but it was going to be an A-lister whether you liked it or not. So just, sit down. I think, this is kind of like the best news that we could have got. I almost feel like.
Yeah, shut up until we get some actual proof that you don't like it, okay? So that's what I tell those people. But this is coming out December 21st, 2022. I fully expect a trailer next spring, Mike. So
man, imagine the cross promotional merchandising for this movie is going to be off the walls. Like you thought it was strange to see like Star Wars like branding on like clementine oranges in the grocery store. Mario's going to be on everything that year. Every product that is sold in a store will have a Mario.
It makes me think of I keep finding the Avengers Endgame or Infinity War Ziploc bags that just have like Thanos printed on the bags. I still have tons of them, but yeah, I think this will be great, and I can't wait for Super Mario Brothers the movie, the game, because that'll definitely be down there.
All right, I'll step off the soapbox. I'll push it off to the side. I'll need it here.
You're gonna need a second.
in a few more minutes, but I'll put it.
All right, let's jump into the Netflix's event. I didn't even know Netflix was having an event this weekend. I'm gonna be straight honest with everyone here.
Much like that Nintendo Direct, nobody knew what was happening.
So they have the TUDUM event reveal. So the TUDUM is the sound of Netflix when it plays at the end. It makes me think of like the sound is definitely Netflix, but it makes me think of something else. And I can't think of what it was. It's like in that Cartoon Network or that boom, like the cartoon era of stuff. I'll think of it later, but it'll come to me. So let's start off with here. Chris Hemsworth's 2020 movie Extraction went straight there to Netflix. They've confirmed Extraction 2. He's in the water and he swam up to the top, Mike. So now we get another movie. He didn't die despite all the bullets that went through his body in the final moments of that film.
I think we talked about Extraction, the first one, on the show at. I don't know if it was last year.
It was 2020, last summer.
Yeah, was it? And I think we were, surprisingly positive on it for what it was, and I think we even talked about the idea of a sequel, and I think we were both like, we'll watch it. He'll probably get out of that water.
Yeah.
And he got out of the water.
Yeah, it's a very, it's what we call Call of Duty, the movie. It looks like a Call of Duty level, right, kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
But what this trailer, despite I don't think this movie has started filming yet, does one of the worst things I hate in movies, like where someone at the end of a movie is beaten, broken, shot through, bloody, whatever. He falls in the water and he's pretty much clean down there because they had to film this separately from when the actual movie took place. So if you look at him, his shirt's all bloody, but like he has no bullet holes. He is just, the water has somehow wiped away all the grime and dirt and blood on him. So good for him. And
the cleaning, the purification waters. I don't remember where he was, but was it in India?
It was somewhere near India.
A sacred river has cleansed him, and now he rises to the surface once again.
This is fine. Chris Hemsworth, I think Thor is one of the things we'll know him for, but he's not in his prime yet. He is still a great action star, still a young guy. I expect to see a lot more of his movies coming out.
But of course, we'll be talking about him at the end of the show as Thor.
Yes, we will. We will talk about him as Thor. So we'll come back to that. The other thing is we got our first live action look at the Sandman series here, and Mike, have you read any of these books before I get into this?
Well, I was going to say I was exceptionally prepared for this teaser because I have basically only read like the first book, 2 issues of Sandman, and like this teaser trailer is like the first like 10 pages, I think, of the first comic book.
So, and it's almost, it's word for word, shot for shot almost. Very, very gothic. They're summoning death, and instead of death, they get Dream, the Sandman himself. He's got his mask, he's got like his 3 pieces of gear there, and then we see a very pale, skinny, looks like he's the lead singer of what's that band, Friday I'm in Love, The Cure guy, and a thing at the end. So like it doesn't give us a lot, but it's very telling of how this is trying to be authentic to the actual series. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to this? Because there's not a lot here other than the fact that it looks good.
I felt like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme from what was that? What's that movie called? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Where he's like pointing at the screen. I was like, oh, that's that panel.
Yeah.
Well, that was that panel. I remember.
Yeah, it's good. And then I think is that Charles Dance there at the beginning. He's the Game of Thrones guy. Is what I'll always remember him from. Who's doing the summoning there. So
yeah, but I mean. I don't know if there's really spoilers, and who knows, because I'm not really well versed in the books. But like the opening of the comic book and this teaser trailer, this is like in the past. I think they jump forward in time, and that's where most of the story takes place. I could be totally wrong. I don't know much about the Sandman, so he could be kind of one of those castings where like when you know your TV show is basically gonna like kill off like a character like in the first episode, but you want some star power. Like they did this in the They did this in the Watchmen TV show on HBO. Who did they cast as the sheriff that like pretty much died right away? I can't remember the actor's name, but they're just like, yeah, you hire, like you spend a little bit of chunk of change on somebody so you can put them on like the poster, but then you kill him off so you don't need to pay him for the rest of the season. So he might not be around long, but he's a familiar face that a lot of people know.
Yep. So very, very fitting of the role I think he was playing, at least in that scene. If a descendant doesn't come back later, they do some time jumps. But we'll see. It probably won't be shot for shot, but I'm very excited for this to come up. Mike, grab your soapbox. We're about to talk about something else you love.
Speaking about shot by shot, shot for
shot. Netflix gave us the intro to the upcoming Cowboy Bebop live action series, and as someone who's never seen the show, Mike, that's just I thought this was really cool. I thought this was really fun. I don't know what you're gonna say, so I really enjoyed this, and I'm very thrilled to see it come to fruition because they're trying to be authentic. They're matching stuff. Right. This isn't again. She's got too much clothes on, Mike. I can't stand it. No, I'm kidding. I didn't even know she had less clothes on in the actual animated show. So, but I thought this was really cool and really fun, and they tried really hard to make it authentic to the original intro as possible. And that music is just so catchy, so jazzy.
Oh, it's great, and I do appreciate the I would say unique perspective for a show like that we put on, because I would say most nerds have at least maybe seen at least one episode of Cowboy Bebop, but it's on your radar. You know what it is, but you just haven't quite watched it. So it's cool that you got the hype for it. But I'll grab my soapbox, I'll push it back over here, and I'll just get back on it and say, nerds, you need to chill out. You need to settle down. I don't know what's in the water this week. You're freaking out. This is fine. There's nothing wrong about this. It's like I feel so bad for the people making the show because they can't win, right? Like they release these stills of character Faye Valentine, and this vocal minority freaks out because she's not half naked and they can't get their jollies off to her when the live action show drops. And then they release the intro, which is almost an exact live action recreation of the original intro. And people are upset because they say it's like a soulless copy of it. And then I've even seen people like analyzing and see, look here, with animation, you can exaggerate the forms, and when you just try to do it with like live action, it just doesn't translate. It's just like, listen, they're not trying to show you that they can replace animation with live action. They're trying to pay homage to this classic anime, and they know how much pressure is on them, so they're just trying to just pay respect to just how good the intro already was, right? Like the internet would have had like a very similar angry reaction if they made a totally new intro, right? Like brand new music that you've never heard before, not the song Tank, which is so catchy. They totally abandon like this kind of paneled motif and just do something very generic. People would have lost it even if they tried to do something original. So I think one thing really cool about this intro, kind of compared to the kind of sparse news that we got from the Mario announcement, was like you can kind of glean what this show might be. And I think they're taking a bit of a courageous approach, but maybe this is how you make an anime adaptation work, right? There is a world where you adapt Cowboy Bebop as like serious as possible, as like film noir as possible, and just really try to make something serious and grounded and make this sci-fi, anime really speak to realism. But they're taking this slightly campy approach where they're just like, no, this is like a cartoon at the end of the day. There are definitely some strong Western themes, not just Western of like cowboys, but also Western as in like American, right? So they're like, let's be a little campy. Let's bring a little bit of our own energy into it. And you can kind of feel that with the trailer. Some of these big wide angle shots that looks like they're like just little stills taken from maybe some of the episodes. All of the characters look almost kind of like,
I got
those like 70. It almost kind of has that 70s exploitation vibe to it.
It's got Kill Bill vibes, like when Tarantino introduces his characters, like he borrowed from those 70s movies, right? And like it feels like this has got that homage, or at least even some Scott Pilgrim-ish, exaggerations to him with the angles and their looks.
I just love that there's a creative vision behind it, right? Because you could just totally see the milquetoast version of this that could have existed. Right?
What's that called? Death Note. Do people not remember the adaptation of Death Note?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, this is how all successful adaptations have gone. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be successful, right? I'm optimistic, right? But we don't know. We haven't seen it yet. That's the theme for everything that we're talking about today, right? We haven't seen it, so we need to reserve a little bit of judgment. It's okay to judge some things ahead of time, right? That's just what being a fan is, right? But just like chill out. Take a step back, and all of the successful adaptations have always taken some sort of creative license, right? You got to find your own way in there. You got to find a way to make it your own, because if you're just going to do one-to-one recreation,
why do it?
Just go check the original out. So I'm glad to see that there's a little bit of unique flavor going into this, but also asterisks, right? Maybe this isn't the goofy, campy vibe that they're going for. Maybe these are all unique shots filmed just for the intro. And who knows, maybe the show could have a totally different feel. Like I said, we don't know yet. I'm just pleading. I'm pleading with people before you hit that send tweet button. Just chill out. If the last year and a half has taught us anything, there's like so many more important things out there in the world. Like the creation of this show doesn't evaporate the anime that already exists, right? If anything, it's going to get more people into it. You know what happens when you go you know what happens when you go and watch this trailer on YouTube? Right on the side, there's an ad that says buy the first season of Cowboy Bebop, the anime. So it's just no one was ever going to be you were never going to make everybody happy. Just go check it out. Who knows, it could be stupid. If I don't like it, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just not going to watch more of it.
Oh my god, how dare you do something sensible, Mike? How dare you? They say speak with your wallet, but you've already got Netflix. Just watch it, man.
It was mind-numbing, Chris. And I think the funny thing too was like the common denominator of like all of these like people nitpicking all of the news this week is they all had avatars that were just like furries, right? They were like cartoon characters. Like nobody who's actually putting their real face on the internet in that little profile picture was like really bringing like the hard, ruthless comments. Like everybody was always like hiding behind like some sort of like animal or avatar or something. So it's just chill out, people. Like sometimes you can fan out a little too much. I feel like.
It's probably, not that this changes what it is, but it's probably someone who started watching it probably a year or two ago and just has like immensely strong feelings right away for it, even though like the people who are doing this, like they've been working on, they're trying to do their best. They grew up with like, hey, this is how we bring everything forward, right? So the people on the internet are the worst. I feel bad for your timeline because I don't have any of the same issues you have between Mario and actual
there's a lot of crossover in my timeline that hits.
In the notes we have the sequence, and I also included a video of the side by side comparison to the original, just to show people how it looks. And I will tell you, the article I found that side by side in was actually full of people praising how good it looked and how much they were doing.
If you go into a different echo chamber, right? Like if you just go look at the YouTube comments, they're a lot more positive. Now that can be said, I can be an angry nerd, right? We all heard the spoiler cast for the last installment of the Star Wars trilogy, right? I did not have a good time, but I had watched it. I had experienced the whole thing. I didn't just rant after a trailer or an intro.
We don't hate Zack Snyder because of things he did before he did them. We watched what he did and then hated him for that.
Yes. Reserve a little bit of like your sanity until the thing comes out, right?
And then just say, I don't like it, and move along. Doesn't affect you if somebody else does. So
okay, I think the soapbox can go.
All right.
I'm pushing it back under the bed. Hopefully I
won't
need it again.
We'll remember this, Mike, before you watch Venom 2, okay?
Oh god.
Save your anger before you put that tweet out there.
Yeah.
Switching that up, Netflix is riding their next money cow here, and seems to be The Witcher. They've already confirmed a season 3 is in the works, Mike, so don't fret. Season 2 is not the end. And 2 more spinoffs were announced as well. So there is a Road to Season 2 trailer, which shows a lot of Season 1 stuff, but at the end there's some Season 2 things. But they've also announced a second anime feature film in the Witcher universe, and a kids/family series as well is in the works.
I don't know how do you approach this from a kid's family point of view. Like what I mean, it's about dismembering monsters and like war, and like this is all based on kind of like the brutal kind of medieval era of like Poland, right?
It could be, probably more like a PG-13 kind of show. Maybe focus on kids of like a different part of the the world that we don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
Or maybe it's honestly, maybe it's kind of like a detached like CG thing, right? You know, they just Geralt in like CG. He never like really attacks the monsters with his sword. He like he shows them how to love and care. It sounds like something that you're not going to have to watch to kind of round out the full narrative of The Witcher.
Yeah. But people apparently like The Witcher, and Netflix is going all in. So good for them. I think there's not a lot to pull out of this. I feel other than. I can't wait to watch season 2 finally.
Yeah. The only thing that I saw, I attempted to play The Witcher 3, the only Witcher game I've ever put in any console to try to play, and it was just way too overwhelming. I probably need to go back to one of the original Witcher games to figure it out. But I did meet a man that was like Geralt's friend that was helping train Yennefer, and it looks like whoever this man is, I don't know what his name, but he's in the trailer, so I think he's like an iconic Witcher character that is being introduced, so I think people might be excited about that.
Yeah, I think it's his mentor is there, because I think in this season they're going back to where Geralt grew up. So we'll
it's like Buddy, his friend.
Yeah. Obviously,
I was gonna say his Han Solo, but I don't think that. I don't think that works.
Is he the Chewbacca then? But honestly, we're not the people to talk about this, but we'll cover it when it comes out on Netflix because they drop them all at once. The other thing is Netflix is going all in on their Millerverse, right? And with that, the first trailer for Super Crooks came out, and when I clicked this, I had a whole other thing in mind.
Honestly, I'm shocked that you said this was from the Millerverse. I thought this was just an anime that you just linked in the show notes. I didn't know that Miller was related to this at all.
So Super Crooks is set in the same universe as what was that show they just did and canceled with
Jupiter?
Yeah, Jupiter's Legacy.
Rising?
Jupiter's Legacy.
Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah. So it's set in the same universe. Okay, like these are people who are actually in that universe, and it's a small-time crook Johnny Bolt recruits the ultimate crew for one last heist. And they went full Japanese anime studio and Japanese voice actors for this. I thought I was getting an American live-action adaptation of Super Crooks, and this just was like imagine expecting that, Mike. This is ordering a Coke and then getting like a Sprite Zero. Like I was like, oh, it's not bad, but this isn't what I was expecting. So, what do you think? What did you get out of this? I was just kind of in shock.
I think it's insanely interesting to see the Japanese adapt something very American. You know, like American superheroes, right? Because we always talk about how America tries to adapt other things from other countries. And it's kind of cool, right, to see like the superhero genre from like American comic books has just become so prominent that even the Japanese, who have plenty of interesting IP and stories of their own, are just like, oh, let's do some of that. This might be a little different since it's technically originating from Miller, right, which is a Western creator, but like you described it here perfectly, where it does feel a lot like My Hero Academia, which is exactly what I'm talking about. The Japanese kind of exploring the American superhero idea.
This is the studio that did My Hero Academia, Studio Bones. So Studio Bones did this. They do My Hero Academia, they do Mob Psycho 100, and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I know you're a big fan of Full Metal Alchemist, so that's why I made sure to include that.
It looks really fun. I'm a dub over subs guy, so I'm actually really curious what that rollout's going to look like, right? Because this is like a Western property being made by a Japanese studio with a Japanese voice cast, but it's premiering first entirely mostly for a Western audience. So is there going to be some dubs in there for me to check it out? I don't know, but it seemed like the premise of it seems cool. It looks like they're trying to pull off a heist under with trying to evade the prying eyes of superheroes or something like that. So that sounds pretty cool.
I looked. I spent a long time looking for like a dub list or whatever, and I couldn't find anything. So this is coming out November 25th, 2021, Netflix. Hopefully we get again, I agree, dubs other than subs, because what was that one show, Attack on Titan? I accidentally watched the first season with subtitles on, and I'm like, I need to go back and rewatch this with dub voices.
God. People are screaming at us right now. The purists that need the subtitles. I'm sorry, we're filthy dub people. Yeah. That's just how we are and how we're always going to be.
It's how we watch our movies. We got to hear it. Shifting gears on to Netflix, we're going back to Hulu. Mike, Hulu hit us with the first trailer for Hitmonkey, the last vestige of Jeff Loeb's thing. We talked about it last Sunday with the first image. Then we got our first trailer literally Monday morning. I believe you and I wouldn't say we're on opposite ends of the spectrum on this. I don't care enough to have an opinion, I feel, is my thought here.
That's fair.
But it looks like, to me, the animation is very Archer style. The backgrounds are hyper realistic, and it's like just drawn animation kind of with kind of basic mouth movements. I don't feel like this was a very heavy production, if I'm going to be completely honest, but I could be wrong.
I don't want to say it like looks cheap, because like I'm sure everybody involved is working as hard as they can. Usually when the end product looks less stellar than you hoped it would be, usually it's budget and timelines, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if one of the last projects from like the ill-fated Jeff Loeb, I don't know if that's the right term, but like,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not throwing all of their resources at this project that I'm sure is not going to see a second season, but it looks like there might be some fun action set pieces. The idea of Hitmonkey makes me pretty interested. Like, if there's a comic book archive out there of him, this makes me interested to maybe go check it out. I know you were explaining last week that this isn't the exact origins of the character, but it is kind of crazy, seeing like a monkey, like, assassinate people. It's kind of fun. So I might interest a comic book or two, or maybe a trade. I'm sure there's some recommended polls for this comic, but we both agree probably not getting a second season. I don't think a lot of people are going to watch this, but the saving grace that it is, they have Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Munn involved, and George Takei, all big names that have, I would say, only gotten more prevalent since the show was probably cast. So that might be their secret weapon, but I'm not expecting much out of this.
And like I said, the only reason it reminds me of Archer is like, it's like if you go compare this to Archer, the way they draw the people, like they're almost detailed, but they don't have enough movement to feel it. But also at the same time, it's confirmed that this is a ghost, not a hologram, right? We went ahead and like at the end, the glasses aren't a hologram of the assassin. He's just putting on the sunglasses because he looks cool. I will probably check out the first episode. If I don't like it, guess what, Mike? That's right. I'm going to go to Twitter and I'm going to yell about them.
Yeah, you're not going to go on Twitter and yell at everybody?
No, I'm going to be like, you know what? People were paid to work on this, and if they don't get to choose the work they get sometimes. So you know what? Good for them. They put their best in.
Yeah, and talking about restraint in general, because I feel like, we'll finally move on from this topic. We've spared everybody the annoying discourse this week of Marvel and their rights to their characters. Because, you know what? If we really wanted to be salacious, I could have made a clickbaity thumbnail. We could have really leaned into it. We could have gotten a bunch of extra clicks. But at the end of the day, it's going to be exactly what's happening with like the Scarlett Johansson thing. It's all going to be settled out of court, out of the cameras. Everybody's going to get paid. Everybody's going to get money. This is just what happens. You jostle things out there in public, to get the juices flowing. All the families are going to get money. Everyone's going to be rich. So just chill out.
Yeah, and the other thing is like the worst part is this isn't the first time this has happened. It's not the last time it's happened. It just happens to be maybe during a lull during the media, or like people writing the clickbait articles of the Scarlett Johansson case. It's just
such an easy story to write, right? The headline has everything that you need in it to get clicks. But this has all happened before. And then of course I saw discourse pop up where people were just like, oh, you shouldn't be protecting big companies. You need to fight for the little people. And it's just like, no one's saying that. These families that, own the copyrights for the characters, they're all going to get paid out. But you're just not going to know what it is because it's all going to be done under the table.
Well, just a quick brief for anyone who's, they don't own the copyright. They were saying these people in comic books and artistry, Mike, you know this. Your work for hire. Anything you create while you work for that company is actually the company's, not yours. And in America, because of Walt Disney himself, the copyright extensions keep going on. It's like up to 70-something years now, I think you can have a copyright for. Yeah. And it will probably be extended because guess what? Mickey Mouse is coming up on that pretty soon around the corner. So it's just a big legal gambit to get more money now rather than later. So
it's weird. Like there's like it's like a double-edged sword of like a law, right? Like these corporations get to hold on to the copyright longer, but at the same time, the family involved can exert their legal right to like get paid for it as well. It's like a part of the law that not most people ever talk about. So it's like everybody's still getting money. Just like they just have to jostle around in court with it because nobody wants to pay more than they legally have to. So it was just a big clickbait story, and it's weird. We said we weren't going to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just for anyone who's curious. But that's all we're going to do. Moving on, the Eternals movie. Russia has officially rated this. What their rating is for mature rather than PG-13, which like the rest of the other movies. So they also have listed this movie at 156 minutes. Can you, out of 25 movies now, can you guess where that sits in the Marvel rankings for length of films off the top of your head?
I feel like that's got to be in the top half, right, of length? It's at least the top 50%.
It would be 4 minutes shy of the third longest. It's 4 minutes shy of the third longest right now.
Oh, wow. I didn't think it would be up there that high.
Endgame is the longest, and Infinity War is the second longest. But they had a lot going on.
I guess they got a lot to get across, right? Because it's an origin movie for a lot of characters that tie into a lot of pre-existing history that in the MCU. And
apparently, this isn't news in there, but the actor who played Legion and the Beast in live-action Beauty and the Beast movie, Stevens, yes, is apparently the voice, maybe the motion capture of the villain Crow in that movie. They've not announced anything yet, but that's what the speculation is. So, fun. I also did put the third longest MCU film in here. I put the answer to the question in the notes, Mike.
Goes to show how observant I am.
And same here. I wrote it. God damn, I'm an idiot. So
well, then you got my authentic reaction then. So that was good.
Thank you. Shifting gears, this is just one of many movies, Mike, right now. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man. There are other movies in production. There are a lot of pre-visual spoilers, hypothetically real. I'm going to go ahead and pretend they're real, in the wild right now, that people are sharing and linking and hashtagging and all over the goddamn place. Some articles have it in the title. Some are being a little more subtle. If you're on Twitter, you don't have that luxury of seeing a title first. So I am saying right now, things for Doctor Strange, any character in there. I would probably put who's in that movie? Doctor Strange, Wong, Scarlet Witch, America Chavez, anybody that you can think of in there. Same with Spider-Man. Any of his villains that you can think of from the other movies, put them in there, because if you don't want to get spoiled or see something out in the wild, you just block these keywords out in case someone tries to slip them past you. So I'm just trying to help people avoid spoilers that I have seen myself, and not that it doesn't ruin.
PSA, looking out for people.
It doesn't ruin it for me, but like, if you want to know, they're out there. If you don't want to know, start now, because this is going to get worse as we get into 4 Marvel movies a year rather than just the standard 3. So, do that. That's about all I got for there. That's our last topic. Now we're getting into the What If, Episode 7, Mike. What if Thor was an only child? So
the what if of it all.
Yes.
It's great to see. I think the majority of the voice cast returned for this one. Chris Hemsworth, probably the most important role to return.
How many cameos were in here? All of them? Pretty much everyone, anyone but the Earth heroes, pretty much.
Yeah, I have to say the premise for this episode was really, really fun, right? Like, what if like all of these like aliens and realms all came to Earth for like one big party and they just messed up the place? It almost kind of felt like an extended sketch. Yeah. I really liked it. It was fun. Thor being worried about his mom and everything.
Yeah, so Thor, Odin found Loki, returned him to the Frost Giants. He didn't grow up with a brother. So Thor, it explains pretty early on, Thor doesn't have the, he's not always on his guard, right? He's not as much of a warrior as he was because of Loki always, being a prankster and the god of mischief, if you will. So he became a spoiled brat pretty much, and went to Midgard to have a party. And it starts off, I will tell you this there's one complaint I have about the show. If you are a brunette woman in this show, you look like every other brunette woman in this show.
Yes. Like, it's so weird because Darcy has such a familiar, recognizable voice, right? And it just does not match this animated face.
And Natalie Portman, who did return, I'm pretty sure, for this. because she's in the upcoming Thor movie. Thank God they're bringing her back. Her character didn't look like her at all. I could have confused her and Christine from the Doctor Strange episode and never known which was which, because they don't look like Rachel McAdams and they don't look like Natalie Portman.
I don't know if it's just a hard thing to pull off, just because, like, you know, the more successful people in Hollywood are just kind of like, you know, just generally pretty, so there might not be a lot of defining features to go off of there. Or I don't know, maybe they're just too busy like visualizing all the aliens in the episode. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but also I feel like it doesn't quite fulfill the whole what if premise that we have talked about previously. So it's like the inciting incident is the fact that Loki does not join the family, but why? But it kind of ends up changing Jane Foster's motivation too. Like she's in the van and she talks about there's been other like alien sightings. I didn't.
Well,
really
she said other planets are disappearing. And that energy was there, and he was like, "Oh, I partied there, and we got everybody off before it blew up." But yes, we did party there, kind of thing.
Okay, so maybe they did. Maybe they did fulfill it, but. I guess the general tone of this episode, maybe you don't have to worry about all the nitty-gritty because you're not really dealing with grief and loss, you know, like in that Doctor Strange episode as much.
Yeah. Well, and this one is probably the most lighthearted. I will say, let me get back to you. I agree this series has not fulfilled the what if premise that I wanted. That stuff on Loki. Loki gave us variations of Loki that were not Loki. They gave us alligator Loki. They gave us an old man Loki. They gave us the boastful Loki. Okay, those looked physically different and had different things. Every one of these what if episodes is just, hey, it's the characters from the movies, and something happened. There's nothing groundbreaking that changes the physical looks of these people to make the world any different than it normally would be. And I think this episode really hit me with that. I'm like, nothing is different about this. It's just, hey, we changed one thing and everyone's still here, but it's still a good time kind of thing. Like, where's the physical difference? I think Doctor Strange hit it the hardest, you know, when he started doing that body horror and like sucking souls and stuff like that. But everything else has just been like, it's the MCU still kind of thing. Like, we're having fun and nothing's really at stake here.
Yeah. I would say this isn't really the fault of the episode itself, and maybe even the show. It's just kind of more of a general thing of, especially after I watched some Star Wars Visions this week, I feel like I'm getting anthology fatigue. I mean, right? You know, because we're watching these every week, and I'm watching these Star Wars anthology things too, and it's just like, it just really makes me want to reconnect with the universe, right? Like, I feel like I'm watching an episode and I'm engaged, I'm entertained, right? But I know at the end of the day, ultimately, like, okay, we might get a part 2 in a later season, but this isn't really going to ladder up to the MCU in any way. So it's kind of weird. Like, it's not a fault of the show, but like, I feel like maybe I'm just craving something a little bit more substantial. And maybe if the what if scenarios were a little bit more wild, maybe that could fulfill it a little bit. But it's just kind of like, okay, Party Thor, that was fun, that was it. But like, after 30 minutes, I was like, okay, I forgot about it. Like, when we got on to record the episode today, I was like, oh yeah, what if are we talking about this week? Did I even watch it? I was like, oh, it's the Thor one.
This is the first episode that has an ending that will tie all these together, finally. We get an Ultron in his vision body with all of the Infinity Stones stepping into this universe for the first time. And that wasn't the end of this episode ending. That is literally the villain, I believe, for the next 2 episodes. The next one will be the origin of him, and then the last one will probably be all of these universes fighting, doing that. Was it the Saviors of the Multiverse or whatever? Guardians of the Multiverse episode will be the last one.
That new Avengers
circle
shot
thing. With that team of all the main characters of these, right, including Party Thor. I will say, the other part of this episode is not just Party Thor, but it is his battle with Captain Marvel, which was really fun. Like, it felt like a little bit of a Dragon Ball Z kind of fight where they kept knocking each other literally around the planet, like in orbit. That was really fun. Like, everyone's like, oh, this proves Captain Marvel is stronger than Thor. Well, this isn't the same Thor in MCU who's like very much, got the powers of a god and has trained all his life.
Yeah. Also, too, if you relate it back to the Dragon Ball Z thing, right? In that show, after every battle, the fighters get a little smarter and stronger and kind of like level up, if you will. So like this isn't fully leveled up, but I almost don't want to live in an MCU where Captain Marvel is leaps and bounds above every other hero, because you're kind of reaching like One Punch Man, levels of just like, well, if she can defeat everybody, all of your stories just revolve around why isn't she there. So I kind of liked watching them just like duke it out. She says one off of just like, oh, I could have beat him, but I didn't want to destroy the planet with my punches or something like that. And I almost took that more as like a boastful thing, right? Like, can you actually do that? Or are you just kind of like this this Captain Marvel like hot shot? So I kind of like the idea of like Thor and Captain Marvel being on even footing, right? Because you can't have all powerful heroes that can defeat anybody anytime, because that's not super exciting, right?
Well, and then exactly. And the other thing is, with that, like the hammer did hold her down. Mjolnir held her to the ground as well early on. So like, there's a lot more what if to that battle that I would like to see. But like, we can't give a definitive answer in this what if episode. But just for the people who absolutely hate Captain Marvel on the internet, because those people are still out there, Mike, very angry. That actually, it wasn't Brie Larson who voiced Captain Marvel, and I did not know that till just recently, right before the episode.
Oh, wow, yeah, I actually, that's a good replacement, because I didn't really pick up on that.
Yep. And then Frigga was not the same actress either, but like, I thought one of my favorite moments is Nick Fury being chucked by Korg into an audience, and then Maria Hill had to come in and be like, okay, I'm in charge now because of what happened to Nick Fury. I thought that was really funny.
I thought it was really funny because now I'm eagle-eyed on the opening credits, because it shows you the voice actors who are going to be in this episode. And Taika was billed on this, and I think Korg said like 2 words. So I'm almost curious if they just synthesized his lines, or they just pulled it from like a blooper from like Ragnarok or something. I don't remember what it was, but like Taika wasn't really in it, but they put him on there anyway. They put him on that billing.
Yep, exactly. And then the other one was I didn't expect Surtur to be in there when he's like hitting on the Statue of Liberty and like melting it, like.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
And the only thing I think this episode was missing is like, this is set around the time of Thor, right? Which is the same time as Iron Man 2, which is like prime Tony Stark alcoholic party era. So if they're partying, I expected to see Tony Stark partying and like jumping in on this, right? Like, I feel like that's a missed opportunity. But like, this was a lot of like, again, other than I think Rumlow, Crossbones guy, everything else was pretty like isolated to the Thor movies in this. And I had a really good time with the Loki was my brother from another mother, and like come to find out they're actually like party friends instead of like enemies. So I there's really not a lot else to do. This like, this was fun, but like, I think this was really for a different reason. I feel like they're missing like, hey, we can go wild and have fun with animation, but they're playing it safe. And I'm like, okay, hopefully season 2 is like, we get to see maybe the Thor version, the frog version of Thor, right? Or like, they really go down some like, rabbit holes of what if universes rather than just, hey, the MCU, but just slightly different.
Yeah.
So.
But that being said, it's still a pleasant episode. We still had a good time, but I think just in general, we just want to go bigger. Yeah. We want to go crazier. We want to go weirder. And because because watching this wasn't that far of a leap from Thor Ragnarok, just in kind of like themes and jokes and story. Like, put in a couple bigger action set pieces, stretch it out to like 2 hours. You got Taika's next Thor movie, right? Yeah. That's why it almost didn't feel too crazy either. Yeah,
it's not like it didn't blow my mind really, but the end did. That I'm seeing that a multi-eyed a Vision in Ultron armor with all the stones. It was like, oh, where's this going to go now? I'm very excited. So
we're only 3 days away from finding
That's right.
out.
They will show us a trailer tomorrow. Like is it on Monday? Like they're like. Or Monday they show you the title, and on Tuesday they show you the brief clip, and you're like, "Damn it, wish it was Wednesday." So, I think this is a pretty good episode. But yeah, I'm ready to see the last 2 and watch Star Wars Visions, and then I've got the Great British Baking Show, Mike. This is we're finally in fall, and pumpkin spice me. That's what I say. All right, man. Well, that's the episode this week. If people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. I'm going to post a picture of this boot that was like 15 feet tall that I was working with this weekend. It was an inflatable work boot that was 15 feet tall. No joke. It's a big-ass boot. I'll put it up on there. If people want to know more about the show, what we're doing, get ready for our Venom Let There Be Carnage review next week. Where can they get all that information at?
All you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. So if you want to check out all those trailers that we talked about this week, we got all the links over there in our show notes, and you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts like our own. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Please reach out. Superfan Jim reached out to me, and he said if there's one episode you got to watch of Star Wars Visions, it's The Duel, which I watched, and it was great, but I thought it was pretty funny because it's like the first episode. So if you just watch them in order, you'll watch it. So I think they put it up front for a reason, but I do agree. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, reach out. Let us know what you're watching. Let us know what you're digging. If you want to be a super fan like Jim, like I just mentioned, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks, so stay tuned.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
I might be off the folding table that's halfway in a closet. I might be able to record from my desk possibly.